Okie dokie. Where is it? Come to me. Can't find it. Rustling around trying to find stuff, which of course is not easily available. Okay. How's it going, Joseph? I am. Somebody had asked me how long these tendrils were, and I didn't bother actually measuring them. I just cut them off at the length I sort of thought would be a good length to have. So now I'm trying to figure out how to measure them. Oh, okay. Alright, well, that's just painful. Gosh. Fiddly stuff. Bits of wire. I'm sticking myself with bits of wire. I will get started in a second, Joseph. Just bear with me while I try to cut this off here. There we go. Alright. Okay, I got it. Oh, alright, I think we should get started because it is time. Been notified it is that time, so let's press that button and pull out my microphone. Oh, not microphone, my earplug, so I can hear the sound coming through, so that's good. So we will go to the transition screen. I apologise for the... I've got a little bit closer this time. I apologise for the shade. It's just how the sun is falling. I have lamps hitting it, trying to illuminate it as best I can. So hopefully that will work. Well, that's my hope anyway. But I'm sure the image will get better because the sun is moving quite quickly now. And I've just cut off one of the, cut off a piece of wire, the length of the tentacle that I was using. And I'm trying to measure that. But we'll get started anyway. Yo, how's it going? Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I'm not talking about Dungeons and Dragons specifically, although I'm happy to talk about Dungeons and Dragons during the live stream. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to complete a bit more of the roper that we started with. We'll just put that in the light. So that's the one we're trying to copy. This is the one that we started making yesterday, or I started making yesterday. There it is, it's in the light so you can actually see it a little bit better. So we constructed this thing. We used tin foil, we used a wooden cedar mothball, we used a drill and a whole lot of paper clips and a little bead, and we've made the basic structure, and now we need to sort of coat it with our putty. I'm using milliput because it's cheaper, and hence this is, you know, how to make a cheap D&D miniature roper as cheap as possible. So that's what we're trying to do today. And a lot of this is going to involve me just mixing up and adding the putty to it. I'm going to run this live stream for roughly about an hour. While I'm doing this, I would suggest that you guys throw out questions or chat with me. I'm not going to be playing music in the background because I figure whatever music you have will be better than whatever I could play, which would be royalty-free music, which as a general rule is not that great, so why would I even bother doing that? You're better off just playing your own music if you don't want to actually chat with me while we're doing this. So that is the plan for today. I am happy to talk about miniatures, I'm happy to talk about player options and being a player in the game or being a dungeon master. Since I spend a lot of my time being a dungeon master, it would make sense, right? So we'll get started. This is what we're trying to duplicate. Put that off to the side for now because we don't want it in the way. This is what we're working with. And my first task is I'm going to just straighten out this piece of wire and I'm going to measure to see how long those tentacles were, or tendrils were. Truthfully, I don't think it matters. I think it's really up to you how you figure that out. What I would suggest doing is when you're shaping your tendrils is make sure you can put a miniature basically all the way around the actual base of the miniature so that these things don't get in the way. And if you can pretty much put a miniature around it and at any position on your grid, then you know you're sweet. If you can't, then you know there's going to be a problem. Okay, so let's have a look and see how long this piece of wire is. And the light has shifted, which is kind of nice, but the sun will probably come back out, unless of course it rains. It looks like there's rain clouds. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but that is 10 centimeters or 100 millimeters. And for those of you who still use imperial, and that would probably be most of you, that would be 4 inches. Okay, well, maybe slightly shorter than 4 inches, but pretty close to 4 inches. Okay, so let's get rid of that piece of wire because I don't need it. So one of the things I noticed when I was working on this is the tendrils or tentacles were kind of coming loose. And so what I've done, while off camera that is I've glued in place near the joining of the miniature. I've put more glue in there just to sort of help hold it in place because I felt like they were moving around a lot. I'm going to do that again because I felt like it helped, but it hasn't sort of corrected the problem completely. So first job is to try to add some glue in some appropriate locations and see if I can't strengthen this up. Although most of the strength is going to eventually come from the putty, so it's not a big, huge deal. And I'll just that around. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's the first one. How strong is that? It's not that great, so we'll do that again. I was doing these about an hour and a half ago, trying to get them a bit stronger. It's okay. All right. So that's that one, and let's see. Okay, and I'll blend that in a little bit. It doesn't matter too much, I guess. That it seems reasonably strong, but we'll put some more glue there because why not? It's not like I can't cover the glue. I can definitely cover the glue. That's not an issue. For those of you who are watching, if you find that the close-up view is a problem, I will make sure not to do that next time. But I just felt like it would be more useful for you to be able to see really close rather than further away. You know, so you can actually see what's going on. As long as I don't stick my grubby mitts in the way, you should be able to see roughly, exactly what's taken place. Okay, so almost there. There is a point where you're going to have to just accept that the glue is not going to do all the job and the putty is probably going to do the rest. But okay, alright, so that is that. We'll let that set for a little bit. I'm going to unplug the glue gun because that'll burn me for sure. I know I'll do it. So I'll put it away out of the side. What's my favourite monster? Okay, Joseph. I would say I like lots of different monsters. There's not sort of one particular monster that I like. I've answered this question a lot of times. I'm really partial to monstrosities, literally just like a monster. So mimics, I like anything that can scare the party and create a little bit of hassle. So yeah, I have a variety of different things that I like to actually play with. But yeah, I actually based almost an entire adventure around the mimic. And that's because it's one of those things that can disguise itself. So hence my desire to use it. Okay, so today I'm going to be using my Citadel sculpting tools. For those of you who are not aware of them, look, all of the materials and tools are down in the description as always. So look, if you need to know what I'm using, that's what I'm using. I'm going to try to avoid using green stuff, but I did bring some green stuff with me just in case because it's more flexible. But you don't have to use it, and I would suggest staying with the milliput because the milliput is just way cheaper. It's almost half the price, or actually it's probably about 2/3 the price of the green stuff, which is why I prefer using it. And this is the same box I've been using to make pretty much all of my monsters so far. Yeah, so that's sort of the sorts of monsters I like. I've been making oozes. I like oozes. I like the gelatinous cube, which is why we made one. I like the beholder. I like dragons. Those are all creatures that I kind of have a lot of fun with. Okay, so we need to mix up quite a bit of this. There's a lot of area to cover, and I feel like the small amount of putty that we have left, I'm just going to use the whole lot. Have to use another pack after that, which fortunately I did actually bring along. I did actually get myself another pack. The question is, Joseph, after doing this roper, what's the next monster to make? Yeah, what's the next monster? Those of you who are in the room, let me know what you would like to see coming out next. If I think I can do it, then I'll give it a go. You know me, I'll try anything. Just about anything. Just about. Okay, so I think I'm going to just roll this a little bit, just to get it a bit easier to sort of measure. Okay, that's roughly that. And then roll this. So yeah, tell me what you guys would like me to make in terms of monsters. I was thinking it would be cool to do the black pudding, because I haven't done a black pudding yet. And I also thought that it would be kind of cool to do some elementals, because elemental miniatures are actually pretty hard to get. You know, they're not something you can pick up very easily. Another thing, the otiog, that's like the three-legged garbage eater with the big mouth and no eyes, and it's got three sort of tentacle things that latch on. Could be a really cool monster to make. I don't feel like it would be hugely complicated. Alright, so let's just mix these together. Alright, there we go. So it's just a lot of squeezing and mashing now. And then, of course, like we did with everything else that I've done so far, what we're going to do is going to try to layer it. So we form like little balls after this, flatten them out, and then attach them to our structure. And we'll start with the main structure. We'll do the tentacles last. The tentacles are always going to be harder because it's wire, and squeezing this stuff onto a bit of wire is really difficult. Just one of those things. But so far, actually I'll put this over here because you're more interested in seeing the progress on that as we go, right? Rather than the milliput packet. Let's just get that out of the way. What sort of monsters do you like, Joseph? Anything in particular? Oh, it is such a hot day. For those of you who can hear birds and cicadas and other noises, that's because all of the critters are up and the sun is here. The rain clouds are coming, but it won't matter. They'll be going flat tack. And the heat of the day is definitely starting to set in. It's the zenith of the day for me. It's 12 o'clock, so 12 p.m, almost the hottest part of the day, and it's probably going to be a swelterer, if not extremely humid. Okay. Everybody's rather quiet. I feel like I'm on my own again, talking to myself in the room. Okay, so it's getting pretty close. I think that's almost mixed, and we're ready to start balling it up and attaching it. I do apologise for the sun and the shade areas, but I just can't do anything about it. I've tried to position my desk right beside a window, and like all windows, aluminium windows, there's like a bar or a stay or a support right down the middle. Oh, Mel, how's it going? I rely on you for inspiration for the next monster. You can't reverse roles on me now. Mel, can I just say, Mel, I've watched the 3 videos. It's you, right, who sent me the video on your... it was like a strange... It was like a beholder, but something else. You done something else. I can't remember. It's a flare. I think you created a flare. And You had your gelatinous cube that you made, Mel. They were fantastic. And I have to say that your ocular swarm is definitely better than mine. Your ocular swarm was just awesome, particularly since you had like a couple of eyeballs that were sort of shooting out of the mass. It was fantastic. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Joseph Doherty, what do you got here? Beholders are pretty. Yes. Well, I've made a beholder and a beast of some kind. You want a beast of some kind, Joseph? All right. A mind flayer. The problem for me doing a humanoid is it's hard to make things look like a humanoid unless you really know what oh, that's right, Mel, that's it. The ethereal Fletcher. A filcher. Yeah, I thought that was so good. You're doing a really great job. Mind flayer, we'll see how we go. I really struggle with doing humanoids. Monsters are pretty easy because, you know, it's just a monster and there's nothing much to it. You just do it. Humanoids require to get proportion correct, and you know, it's got to look a particular way, and also really fiddly in the small. You'll notice that most of the stuff that I've made, apart from the grey ooze, they've all been quite large miniatures, and that's quite deliberate on my part. Now we're just going to apply this, but I'll bear that in mind, Joseph, that you would like to see a mind flayer. If I can get the courage up to do it, then I'll make it happen. I might need a bit of help though. I might have to go and seek my brother. My brother's much better at any kind of art. Okay, kind of looks a bit weird. Looks like he's got like a one of those caps. Is that a Jewish cap? I can't remember what they're called. Looks a little bit odd. Look, we're only coating it. We're going to give it the effect of looking like a rock formation later. So don't worry about the fact that it looks a little bit odd right now. It's just what we've got for now. Okay, so don't freak out about that. We just need to layer this thing and get all the stuff on. So flattening it out as best we can. And this will give it a nice hard surface. So nobody else has got any monster requests. I know a lot of people were hoping to see me do a full-fledged purple worm when I started doing the purple worm build, but really that build was only supposed to be the purple worm's mouth, because I don't think people realise there's no such thing as making a cheap purple worm in any time frame that isn't going to take like 10 hours or more. It would be 10 videos. The video that I believe it was Scotty, or you know, DM Scotty over at the DM's Craft. That particular purple worm that he made would have taken a lot of hours, and he did that all off screen, and then he's only just sped up certain sections to allow it to sort of be easily viewed. Otherwise, you know, I know what he was thinking. He was probably, nobody's going to sit around and watch me do this for 10 plus hours, and chances are he had a few problems along the way making it, so it's not like it would have been an easy process. Hence why I haven't tried to make a full-fledged purple worm. There have to be a strong demand and people who are really realistically wanting me to do that. But yeah, monsters are much easier. All right. That wasn't too difficult. We got a bit of putty on the side there. As you can see, it will build up fairly quickly. A dragon. It's not a bad idea. You know, there's so many, I don't know if Blanco. There's a channel called Blanco, and he takes cheap toys and other miniatures that aren't D&D related, and I've seen him make dragons into miniatures and so forth without having to go through the process of building it from scratch. But yeah, dragon's a monster. It's certainly a possibility. Yep, absolutely, that could happen. I would love to be able to do something like a Kraken, but that would probably be like 100 hours. I mean, the sheer size and what you're dealing with, I feel like that would be a very, very long build and expensive too. Because it's one of those miniatures that you just don't have, right? Because they don't make it. I was looking at Icons of the Realms. There's an Icons of the Realms Classics. And they had the Demigorgon, and I thought, wow, the Demigorgon. And then I saw the miniature they had, and I was like, seriously, that's the Demigorgon? It's a bit lackluster. It's not nearly as exciting as I thought it would be. And I was really tempted to sort of give that a go, but yet again, a huge undertaking. Maybe in the future, if these videos get enough, you know, of an audience and people like them enough, then maybe I'll have a go at a Demigorgon as well. I don't feel like their miniature was that hard to make. I feel like anybody could have done it, so I don't see why I couldn't. Okay, let's just blend in that seam there. Now remember, what the job is today is to coat the wire in the tin foil rather than to build in a lot of detail. We don't need to worry about that just yet. We just need to get everything together and covered. So got a good strong surface. I know there's been quite a few responses to the last video on the roper, so obviously a really good choice in terms of a monster to make, which is excellent. What's that, Joseph? Are you looking forward to Mordekainen's Tome of Foes? Yeah, actually I am. I did a video on the topic. I think it's going to be a pretty good book. I feel like it'll be much like Volo's Guide to Monsters, but Volo's Guide to Monsters had a whole lot of maps in the beginning, a lot of fluff material. There's enough material there that you could utilize if they do in the same sort of format. I feel like it's going to give you the ability to create your own short adventures with a map location, which is great. And then once you've got that, then you can sort of take the campaign in any direction. And you know, something like the planar travel is literally you can go and do anything you want. It's very broad. I would say it's a tough sort of a campaign to run for a dungeon master, because you just don't know where they're going to go. They could literally go anywhere. I've run a Star Wars game, and one of the big draws for the Star Wars game was you can go anywhere you like. But the problem is, for a dungeon master, there's a lot of work, because you've got to know so much of the universe, and they could literally just pick up the Star Wars map and just go anywhere. So that's a tough undertaking, but I think it's going to be a good book. And as I said, I did a review, well, not a review, I did an announcement about it, and I still think that particular Mordekainen's Tome of Foes is going to be more about giving you your major villain rather than lower level threats. I think it's going to be more about, you know, creating the master villain in your campaign, if that's what you want, because that's been sadly missing. If you look at something like the Tome of Beasts by Kobold Press, which I did a review on as well, it's full of major villains, you know, major antagonists, major patrons. So I think it's going to be a fantastic addition. In terms of what the players will get, I think they're going to just get a lot of elf sub-races and maybe a few surprises, but you know, maybe a background or two, some spells, because it's Mordekainen. I don't think we're necessarily going to see feats. You might. It's hard to know, really. Anyway, what about yourself? Are you looking forward to Mordekainen's Tome of Foes, Joseph? Anybody else looking forward to that particular publication? Okay. So I'm just trying to bang on my putty anywhere and build it up and then I will fill in the gaps like I always do later. Okay, here we go. What's that, Joseph? Do? Do as in yes? No? You are looking forward to Mordekainen's Tome of Foes? Alright, here we go. Yeah, would like to see a few more playable races. Well, I think you're going to get plenty of playable races in Mordekainen's Tome of Foes. It's just, the problem is, I think for a lot of players, is they're not really looking for playable races so much as they're looking for new class features, things they can attach to an existing class like spells and feats, and that's not necessarily where it's all going to go. Okay, right. These tentacles are going to make it very, very difficult to attach everything on. I can see that right now. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's like trying to get past them every single time because there's all these things sticking off. Of course, I can't be too rough because all it's going to do is mess it up and break it, and I have to glue it back in place again. Great. Okay. The great thing about using a putty tool is then once you've gone and done that and sort of meshed it in, you use your finger to finish it off. Yeah, not too bad. Doesn't need to be super perfect, by the way, because remember it's going to be a stone surface and there should be blemishes and imperfections in it anyway. Doo-doo and doo-doo doo-doo. I'm just going to grab a drink of water. There's a big area to cover. Huge amount of space to cover. Let's go inside the mouth. I'm going to try to... I realise that I keep putting my hands in front of the camera. I do apologise. It's just sometimes I need to, just to get things in position. I'm going to just squeeze that down. Just to get it inside there. Yeah, that's not really working very well, but okay. At least you're seeing how not to do it, right? If I show you how to do it and not to do it, then I'm definitely providing you with some value. Make it easier for Mel to do his next miniature build. But I've been surprised. There's been a few people who've, at least a couple, who've said that they've made miniatures based off the miniature videos that I've been doing, which is great. I think that's just awesome. Okay. Right, I'm going to just see if I can get my finger in there. Doesn't really want to go in there very much, but okay, let's just clean that off. If I clean the tool off, maybe it'll work better. I need the other one. Either that or I need a knife. Let's just grab that. Ah, that's right. I forgot about the plastic tool. It does have its uses sometimes. I'm not a fan of it, but it's not nearly as severe as the other tools, so I can press and shape without messing up the putty too much. And it has a smoothing effect. Look at that. It's much better. It can be a bit gentler and get around all of the little bits that are sort of not quite right. I'm just going to turn this little sucker upside down. Just like so. Sorry if I'm being kind of quiet right now. It's actually quite difficult getting inside the mouth. There's going to be lots of difficult bits, I suspect. I'm not looking forward to the tentacles. That'll take me ages. Okay. Alright, so I've got some putty inside the mouth. Well, that's something. Mel, I think you're right. I think I should definitely make a mimic. What I wanted to do is I noticed that DM Scotty over at the DM's Craft made a treasure chest that was a mimic. So I think definitely doing that. But I also noticed that he made a whole lot of other things like doors and a barrel. And I thought, well, a barrel could be turned into a mimic. I have an old mimic that looks like a barrel. And I thought a door mimic would be awesome. So making it, so many people have got terrain videos on how to make doors. So figuring out how to make a door can't be that hard. Or even a table or a bed. All sorts of things that you could turn into a mimic. I think the most common one that you're probably going to wind up using as a monster in your game are definitely going to be the door mimic, the treasure chest mimic, and the barrel or crate mimic. I think those are all definite musts. And yeah, I'm up for doing that. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I certainly, as I said, I think that doing something like fire elementals or water elementals or an earth elemental of some kind, that would all be pretty easy to do. I don't think those would be very difficult. Oh, I like this tool. It's worked out so nicely, just joining that those two pieces together. So now, yeah, let's put a big star beside the idea of doing a mimic. And I guess I need people to say, if I was to make a mimic next, would it be a door mimic, a treasure chest mimic, a barrel mimic, or are we going for something more like a crate? Is there any particular preference? It's not that I wouldn't do all of them, because I certainly would consider doing all of them. But is there a preference? If there's a preference and you're in the chat, let me know. I personally really like the idea of doing a door one because it's not something you see very often. I've got a mimic that's a bed, a really old metal one made out of pewter, and it's cool, but I've never used it that much, unfortunately. It's a good idea, you know. You go to bed and the mimic is the bed. Oh dear. Okay, so that's that. I need to grab the next box of milliput. So I have finally gone through my first box of milliput. So you can see it lasts quite a long time. It's worth having. Absolutely. Okay. I don't think I'll need that. I think I've figured out how to use this stuff by now. And we just need to undo these little... For those of you who are expecting spirit hands, it's not spirit hands, it's sticky hands right now. Sticky. Very, very sticky. Don't stick your fingers in your mouth. Not a good idea. And I should have opened this earlier. I should have brought myself something to cut it open. Here, I've got something I can cut it open with, but yeah. What was I thinking? Denied. You know what it is. These days, getting into a plastic bag is just so difficult. It's like you need special tools, training, a degree of some kind, and major muscle power. Long fingernails. Unless, of course, you just use scissors and a knife. I suppose I should just do that, but I want to use the bit of tape to reseal it after. Ah, isn't this exciting? Oh, come here. Come here, get in there. Open up. Oh dear, I do apologise. I really want to keep the tape, but it's denying me access. Oh yeah, God blimey. I am sweating like you wouldn't believe right now. It is, those cicadas are going bananas. The only window that's not open in the place is the one that's right in front of me, because the sound coming through hits the microphone and it's like a din. It's really bad. I feel like maybe the camera is just a tiny bit out of focus. Is that a little bit out of focus? Oh, it is slightly out of focus. I wonder if I can fix that. It's a little bit weird. I was not expecting that. It was certainly in focus before, and now it is out of focus, and I don't know if I can fix it. I want to give that a go. Where is it? Well, let me do that. This is the problem, is I don't think I can open up the camera feature when it's been used by something else. And yeah, it looks to me like I can't. That's a real problem, isn't it? Okay, it was certainly in focus before. Why has it gone out of focus? It's because the light's shifting all the time, eh? That'll be it. What's this? Mal, you've got here, kids these days love unboxing videos. It's really weird, Mal. I don't understand why people want to watch an unboxing video. What is the deal with an unboxing video? I mean, I tend to do my miniature reviews and I take everything out of the box first, rather than actually unboxing stuff in front of people. But people like to see things coming out of boxes. You're quite right. It's bizarre. Okay, I think some leftover stuff from the other pack, so I might use that. It's a bit much. Give it a roll, give it a roll, give it a roll. Roll it up, roll it up. Yesterday I had the camera all sorted out. It was all lined up, focused nicely, and now it's gone out of focus. This only hassle with a webcam is you just can't on the fly make adjustments to it in terms of focus. That's one of the things I've found. Unless of course there is a way to do it and I just don't know how to do it. Maybe that's what's going on. Anyway, so I'm going to make up quite a lot. We're going to try to get quite a lot more done before we run out of time. I don't want to make this video too long. I feel like an hour or just over an hour is more than enough. 2 hours or 3 hours is way too long. And it is so warm. Now the focus is starting to improve because the light's shifting. What do you know? Well, that's a good sign. I like that. That's good news. So normally I would try not to mix up quite so much putty all at once, but I'm doing it primarily because I just want to get as much covered as I possibly can in one session. Remember, you don't want to try and do everything all at once because the putty will shift around and move as you're going, and it's just about making a nice hard surface for it first. Just leave my two little ropers in screen so you can see them. I've been running Storm King's Thunder for those of you who want to watch or at least listen to me dungeon mastering. So I'm dungeon mastering Storm King's Thunder on a Friday night over on Twitch TV under the name Frederick Wheeler 129. So that's FREDRICKWHEELER 129, and that is the channel name at present. It will change, So if you want to listen to my home game, watch us moving the miniatures around, because I tend to point the camera at the miniatures because they don't like me pointing the camera at them, and you can listen to us. It is not probably suitable for children because there's a lot of swearing and inappropriate talk, and you know, that's why I don't put it on YouTube anymore, because YouTube just gave me such a hard time about it. I decided, okay, Twitch TV is a lot more lenient, so I can get away with a lot more. So that's why the live streams of my games are there. I'm running a game on a Wednesday night, and that is in it's actually a cafe bar restaurant. Sounds fantastic, right? You can order whatever you like, food, drink, whatever, and we play Dungeons and Dragons in a public forum. And right now we're playing, the campaign's called Zenith, or Zenith Nights, or something like that. I think Zenith has definitely been locked down. The players may change how they want it to sort of work, but that's essentially the game I run on a Wednesday night. I can't broadcast that because it's way too loud and it's in a public forum, so it's not really suitable for showing to you guys via a phone app or a camera or anything like that, because it's just not practical. But the Friday night, I can absolutely show you what's going on there. What's that, Joseph? What time that an island? What time's that an island? Oh, an island. I have no idea. I'm in New Zealand, so that's New Zealand Standard Time. So if you go onto the Google World Time Zone map, and you can calculate it from where you are. So if you're an island, it'll show you what time 7:30 p.m. To 11 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time on a Friday would be for somebody in Ireland. I would imagine if you're in Ireland, it's going to be either extremely late at night or very early in the morning. Like, you know, anywhere from like 11 o'clock or right through to something like 1 o'clock or something like that. I know that the people from the UK struggle to watch my live streams because of the time difference. You know, usually you guys are sleeping when I'm awake, as a general rule. Mel, so your Twitch is the same as YouTube, How to D&D on Twitch TV? No, it's not right now. It will be eventually. I've still got to wait a few more days before I'm allowed to change the name, because it was originally set up as my own, just, you know, access to Twitch TV. I didn't actually decide to make a channel out of it. So it's currently called Frederick Wheeler 129, and you can find it in the About section of my YouTube channel. You'll find the Twitch TV channel name right there, and I'll let you guys know when I change it over, because you know, I do want you to get an opportunity to see what's going on, or at least listen. My home group are quite naughty, so they I mean, they're funny as, and they're loud and boisterous, but they are a bit on the naughty side. We're all adults at the table, or trying to be adults, so that means sort of adult sort of subjects come up quite often, and because everybody's sort of blowing off steam from finishing their week of work, they'll get up to some real mischief just for the hell of it. Oops, I just said a bad word. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's coming together. We're getting the layers on. This I feel like is going to be the tricky one. This particular tentacle is right smack beside the main body, and squeezing that in is just a bit of a mission, but we're getting there. Try to force all the air pockets out of it if you can, because you're always going to get a few air pockets as you're going, so try to force them out so you don't have like hollows. They're easy to sort of ruin your miniature. Okay. Oh, okay, I'm sticking with the little plastic one for joining the seams now. I think this is definitely the tool. Just does less damage. I mean, I've used it before and I haven't been quite as successful as this time. Maybe I'm just getting better at this. What I need is AJ Pickett and get him to do this. He's, I'm pretty sure AJ made a roper as well. I don't know if he's put it on video, but I think he at least showed it off. Alright, we're getting there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to sort of fill out around the mouth. So I'm doing the sausage thing. Go with the sausage and then flatten out the sausage and then cover the mouth area. Yeah. Alright. Well, that's interesting. So that means that my camera has got its focus back or not. Looks like it's not. It's not shifting. Well, that's good. Alright, cool. I'm happy with that. It seems to be working fine now. Certainly the image is picked up. Maybe it was just the stream quality. Where am I going to stick this? I feel like there's nowhere to... Okay. That isn't working. Let's try moving that again. Sorry, I'll get my fingers out of the way in a second. I just need to get it positioned. Okay. Whew. There we go. It's looking better. And now, a little plastic tool again. The spatula side's too big. Whew. Man, it's so warm. For those of you who have got cold weather, I do sympathise. I would actually prefer to be hot than cold because there's so much cold weather in New Zealand as it is. That's just me. But there are times when it gets very, very hot. And I suppose I could run a fan on myself right now, but you guys would hear nothing but the fan. So no fan, just suck it up. Deal with it, Fred. Okay. It's a little bit tricky. Hang on, Mel. I'll just finish blending this in and then I'll have a look at your comment there. Ooh. I'm really pleased you were able to make the stream, Mel, because your stuff, you know, I mean, I know I've already said it, but your stuff is really good. Okay, alright, what's that, Mel? I'm catching up to you with my roper. I had stalagmites I saw DM Scotty make, and I augmented it into my roper. Primer is dry now. Whoa, well done. So you're making one of these ropers as I'm making one. That's really cool. I'm very impressed. I didn't see the video on DM Scotty's stalagmites, but he's got a lot of videos, so... Okay. Maybe we should be watching you do this, Mel, live stream. I know you're quite young, Mel, so I understand if your parents would be unhappy with that idea. But yeah, you do a really good job. Joseph, is Storm King's Thunder a good adventure module? Okay, it's got its issues. So far I haven't got too lost in terms of finding stuff. I still feel like none of the adventures have a index, and that is sadly required. You know, with a book that is 250 something pages long and there's no index, it is just a pain. It has got a nice flow chart in it. I think so far out of all the adventures except for the Lost Mine of Phandelver, the Lost Mine of Phandelver is so easy to run and so easy to find stuff. I feel like Storm King's Thunder, except for that one, is probably the better of all of them so far. And probably the worst is Out of the Abyss, followed by Princes of the Apocalypse, which is absolutely awful. I did an index for it because it was so hard. I realized that the link that I provided for the index that I made on a public D&D Facebook group is so difficult to find that I'm starting to create my own Facebook group for you guys to join, so you can see the images, see quick updates, see behind the scenes, you know, so you can see what's going on before I start shooting my main videos or my live streams. You can see sort of, you know, all the other bits and pieces that are going on. For those of you who are unaware, I have a whole lot of things that I'd like to show you, but it's just timing, and I don't want to make a full-blown video out of it, but a short segment makes sense. If that makes any sense to you, that's basically what's going on anyway. Okay. Yeah, so Storm King's Thunder, it's an alright adventure. I don't think it's super... I'm trying to push through it as quickly as possible because I've inherited it from the last Dungeon Master who had to sort of give it up. He's not very well, so he's handed over the reins, and I'm trying to do what I can with it in the time frame that I've got, which I want to be quite short. I don't want it to be a long campaign that's drawn out. The last campaign I ran was Curse of Strahd, and that was a long time to get through. I enjoyed it, and it's not badly laid out. Curse of Strahd, you know, it's broken up into pieces, so you can sort of it's not quite so difficult to prep. But I have to say the best adventures to grab and use are definitely the Kobold Press adventure books. The Book of Layers, which I've done a review on, which is great. Each short adventure, and it's like 4 or 5 pages, and that's it. And you just drop these little adventures, you can link them up how you want. And the Prepared, a dozen short adventures, where you can just spend, it's a page, each adventure is like a page long, so very easy to put together, and you can, you know, use each adventure to form sort of a campaign in some way. Okay, I apologise if I've turned it away from you guys. It's really hard to get in the mouth section, and I need to use this tool, but it's not going to be very easy if there's stuff stuck to it, so I'm just going to scrape it. Scraping, scraping, scraping. Oh. There we go. And we'll try to have that. Oh man. So yeah, Storm King's Thunder, not a bad adventure. Certainly better than some of the other ones I've seen. I'm certainly frightened of the concept of Tomb of Annihilation. I think that sandbox adventure is kind of problematic, considering how much preparation you'd have to do to sort of get things figured out. I'm talking to one of my friends who's dungeon mastering for Adventurers League, and he's doing it right now, and he said he was not impressed. It's been a real mission. That's why I like the older adventures, you know, right back at the very beginning, because they were only about 25 to 30 pages of adventure and you were done. They weren't these big 25-page books that you had so much information you had to understand. Okay, oh man, I'm sweating so much. What's that, Mel? Just to come clean, Mel is my wife's YouTube. These creature videos are on my son's. He does appreciate the views though. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, now I understand. Now it makes sense. Oh dear. So actually, the name of your YouTube channel, which I will not repeat because it's pretty it's pretty out there. It's like a family channel, really. It's like a channel that you guys all use. That's kind of cool. I like that idea. Okay. And we are blending away. Oh, it's really tricky, these little curves here. Trying to cover them is hard. Really, really hard. Now, let's go back to the other tool. But yeah, if you're going to run an adventure, my feeling is that it's better to go with something that's shorter rather than longer. And then, you know, a campaign creates itself rather than a dungeon master. That's always been my feeling, that if you're going to run a campaign, that you don't know which villains are going to survive long enough to be the villain. Particularly if you present them to the players are likely to just sort of see them and try to take them out of commission as quickly as possible, so they can't become a recurring theme, you know, so that I don't need to deal with them later on. I know that a lot of my players, as soon as they see anything that might potentially be a recurring villain, they will take it out because they know I will bring it back, and they don't want that. So it does make sense, but which is why it's better to, I feel, to use smaller adventures and just see how things pan out, rather than sort of have to use things like, okay, well, the villain was killed, but he got brought back by resurrection or true resurrection if they burnt the body. A lot of my players, you know, if they think there's a major villain, they'll make sure there's nothing left of the body as well. Oh, okay. Having a little bit of trouble around this mouth section. And it's just getting warmer and warmer and warmer, so of course I'm having more trouble focusing on what I'm doing. Okay, alright, so now pressing my fingers in there, sort of get rid of some of the marks that I created with the tool. Okay, alright. I need to work faster, otherwise this putty's going to go off and I'll be stuck with it. A big blob of useless putty and nothing else. Let's do some patch jobs, I think. I'll get back to the mouth in a second. There we go. Cool. Whew. Oh man, that was so warm. Oh, it's disgusting. I can feel the sweat running down my back. It's that much. Oh dear. It's a good thing I didn't have a shower today, right? And just have it near the end of the day when it's all done and dusted. It's a bit cooler. So I think what's going to happen with this miniature is it's going to take a number of videos to actually get the whole thing done. If I try to do too much in one video, it's just going to be hugely long. It's just a long process. Oh, I'm losing it. What's that, Joseph? What's your favourite race or class? Okay, so my favourite race is I like the Minotaur. Okay, if I could play a Minotaur, I would. If I can't play a Minotaur, in the past, before they had Dragonborn, I would have gone half-orc. I like half-orcs. I'm not fond of playing a human, but yeah, right now with 5th ed edition, when there's an official Minotaur, I'll be in for that. But yeah, I like half-orcs, the Minotaur, and the Dragonborn. I think they are a cool race, and I enjoy having breath weapons. That's always nice. So that would be my favourite race. My favourite class is the monk. And the reason that my favourite class is the monk is not because of how the monk works. It's because for years, as I was growing up, I was involved in the martial arts. And so I was doing karate, self-defense, and I got to 3rd Dan before I decided I was getting too old, and I'd done enough damage to myself that I gave it up. It was hard to do that, actually, but I love the monk. I just like the idea of being able to pound something into the ground with my fists, my feet, my elbows, my knees, my head. It's what I enjoy. So yeah, I like the monk. If I'm not playing a monk, my next favourite class would definitely have to be the wizard, because it's really complicated, it's really hard to play, and they're often the one character that can make the difference of success or failure. And if I'm not playing either a monk, a wizard, then I'm actually going to be probably playing something like a cleric. That's not because I like to be a healer. I often will play something like a war priest, the war domain. I'll go with the war domain. It's a lot of fun, but I often will pick up a level in the cleric and multi-class into something like wizard, or a multi-classed cleric wizard. One level in cleric and all the rest in wizard is a really strong combination, because I can use my spells that are part of my wizard spells as slots for my cleric. It's kind of cool. So yeah, those are the races and classes that I enjoy. What about yourself, Joseph? Is there anything in particular you're kind of fond of in terms of races and classes? There we go. That's that one, little patch done. Oh. Bards are really good late game. Yeah. I could never get myself into them. But I'm not going to dispute it. And that's your choice. It's always good to be able to have a choice and something that you enjoy, no matter what other people think. Okay. Any particular race that you enjoy, Joseph, or just prefer playing the bard at later levels? Oh, it's something I wanted to ask people. I've been planning or wanting to do a video, and I was thinking of doing it live stream on how to make your own custom-made Dungeon Master screen. And then I thought what I would do if that was successful is I would do a pre-recorded Dungeon Master screen build as well. And the reason being is that I feel like I can make a Dungeon Master screen in probably less than an hour, in the time frame that is sort of reasonable for people to sort of sit there and grab the materials themselves and just do it. You know, it wouldn't be that hard, particularly if I advertise the event, you know, a little bit in advance, so you've got time to grab those materials yourself and you can just build along with me, like Mel has been doing. Just a suggestion, if you're in the chat and you want to put your feedback into what you think of that, you know, would you be interested in seeing a live stream build of a custom-made Dungeon Master screen, something that you can, you know, populate with your own material rather than somebody else's idea of what you should have. I know I've got a video on custom Dungeon Master screen already, but I still feel like showing you how to make your own would be a really helpful video to have. Yeah, I would like people's feedback. It'd be good. If you're not part of the live stream and you're part of the pre-record of this, then, you know, chuck it in the comments. Let me know. Surprisingly, I do videos based off what people want me to do. Not always, but quite often. Joseph, what do you got here? I played a Earth Jinsei. That is pretty rare race, not really played. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're cool though. I had somebody playing one of those. I believe it was a fire one rather than the Earth, and we keep referring him to as Firestorm. For those of you who know anything about comic books, Firestorm is a flying superhero whose head is on fire, basically. An old favourite of mine. I enjoyed that particular comic book a lot, although it doesn't seem to get a lot of love now. Certainly nobody's really sort of heard of it. Certainly hasn't been put out on Netflix or anything like that. Maybe in the future, you never know, eh? It is just about covered. Oh. I can feel this putty is starting to get a bit harder, so I'm going to have to work much faster than I have been. Okay, I'm going to just ball up a whole bunch of patches so that I can work a bit quicker. Otherwise this is going to be the end of this putty. I made so much up and I'm just not working fast enough. It always seems like an easy thing to do, to just stick putty onto something, but you know, it takes time. You've got to feed it in, mesh it in, shift it around, make it work. Oh boy. Has anybody seen any more updates from D&D Beyond on Mordekainen's Tome of Foes? I'm pretty sure they're going to probably punch out as many of those videos as they can, as often as possible, because they did that with Jennifer's Guide to Everything and that worked really well. So my general feeling is that they're definitely going to do it again. I feel like it makes sense. Cool. Yeah, okay, sorry, just checking. It's this funny little twitch on the camera. I don't know what that's all about, but it annoys me. I'm trying really hard to make the quality of the live streams a lot better, so that you guys get a better sort of watching experience, but it's hard to know what's going on sometimes. Okay, so I've got a lot of little balls. which I have to work with, and coat as much of this as fast as I can. And let's start dealing with the eye. I feel like I'm going to do a sausage and flatten. Sausage and flatten. Okay. Okay, there we go. I'll build that up later and let's feed that on. Okay, and keep going. We have to do all the smoothing after. Just going to get this putty on here before it is hard. One of the things I'm going to say, when I was gluing the eyeball in, make sure you use plenty of glue, because I found that the tinfoil, because it's not a particularly strong product, you know, that you kind of have to stick a bit more glue on and make sure those things stick. This is why the tentacles had to be re-glued, and why my eyeball is just a little bit loose. So I would suggest banging on as much glue as you can. You can always cut it away later. Joseph, do you think Xanathar's Guide to Everything was a good book? I've got the book. My feeling is that it is not the book that I thought it would be. To be fair, I think it's a good deal for players. I feel like there's some information in there, like the big charts of names. I feel like was just a giant waste of time. That really annoyed me. I did a review on it, and I said that in my review that it was, I just don't understand. I feel like the random encounter section, which I've done a video on as well, is fine for new dungeon masters. It's not the sort of information that a experienced dungeon master would have liked, but I still don't know how to do a video or produce content that's going to give you exactly what you need with regard to the creation of your own random encounters, because that's such a broad topic. It's really hard to sort of come up with something that's going to work for everybody. You know, because it's not always about combat. You know, sometimes it's just about just odd things happening. So do I think it's a great product or a good product? It's all right. You know, a lot of people have been very, very happy by it, and you know, it's been a big seller. So I know obviously they're doing something right, but for me, I've got it there. I haven't looked at it that much. I feel like the magic items in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, they're actually really good because they're not combat focused, and that is actually hugely important to whether a dungeon master will use them or not. Players are always wanting magic items that will have a mechanical combat focus to them, but these are things that you can drop in, and they're more of a utility or just really unusual, so they're going to be easier to incorporate into your game without too many problems. So hence why I think they are a good addition. So for those of you who have just joined us or just popped in, I am putting this putty on faster because it is drying out and it's going to just go hard. So I've got to go a lot quicker. There was like a whole page of information that Jeremy Crawford added to Xanathar's Guide to Everything regarding questions he would get from dungeon masters all the time, and these were sort of things he was constantly having to repeat, and I feel like that was sort of wasted space. I don't think it was wasted space for Jeremy, because it'll make his life easier provided people read it, but a lot of the information that was in there in the first place was stuff that you could find in other locations. So yeah, they did a small section. I feel like the section on sleep and resting and sleeping in armor is just going to be confusing to people, just a little bit too confusing rather than as helpful as it could have been. I just don't worry about people sleeping in armor personally. You know, if they're going to, otherwise they're going to start, okay, so what's your armor class if you've got your no armor on? You know, this is the time to attack them when they're asleep, right, when they've got no armor on. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Honestly, there isn't anything wrong with going, okay, well, when they're vulnerable, that's the best time to attack at night. but I also feel like it's not necessary to do that. And was it necessary to actually have a section on it, on sleep? Yes, it was necessary to have a section on sleep. Was it necessary to talk about sleeping in armour? Probably only because so many people wanted to talk about sleeping in armour, and they were so used to previous versions of the game where sleeping in an armour had penalties. Now, if they had said nothing about sleeping in armour in the past, nobody would have cared. Unless, of course, there's somebody who feels that Dungeons and Dragons should be a depiction of realistic combat and play, which, to me, is kind of ridiculous because it's a game about elves, dragons, and dungeons, and magic, and so forth. So I've never really worried about Dungeons and Dragons being realistic in its play, and being super true to physics of the world. I mean, there's some physics to it, but it doesn't have to be all. Because remember, it is a fantasy game, not real. Pretend. Okay. What else in Xanathar's Guide can I think of that I really haven't looked too much at the player options. I've been waiting for John Shackle to get some time so we can get together and sort of have a look at that. Downtime. Oh yes, Joseph. Downtime I felt needed to be more expanded, and that what I hope they add more to the next book. There was a section on downtime. I think there was a section on utilising your proficient skills or proficiencies, and that sort of tied into downtime, I think, Joseph. I think that was good. I think there was a whole section on using your skills and the DCs that you might set for doing something. That was a good addition for the Dungeon Master. That wasn't wasted space. I feel like that was really useful. It would give me a truckload of material for making further videos, which I'm happy about. It's just when I'll ever get there. I'm still working my way through the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master Guide and the Monster Manual, and I've got enough material to last me years. Even if I do a video every single day, I'm never going to catch up to it all. There just isn't enough time in the day, or the time in the week, should I say. Okay, alright, we're getting there. You'll notice that my mouth is not perfectly shaped. I can change that if I want. I'm still not sure if I want to worry about that. I might just leave it with one side sort of a little bit lopsided compared to the other. There we go, press that in. Come back and clean that up in a second. I think I'm going to grab my tool now and just start blending over the sections that are mostly done in certain locations. I think I also have intentions of showing you some of the things that I have acquired. I built myself a shelf, a really big shelf to put stuff on, and I've now been able to sort of sort my office studio out a little bit more so it's not quite as cramped. I don't have stuff all over the floor now. It was really hard to move before, so I've kind of sorted that out a little bit, which I think is good. I've also got a dragon made out of hardboard that my mum made. And she painted it up, and it's really cool. I want to show you guys that sometime. And I thought I would also, because I know a lot of people like the fact that I sort of pointed the camera and showed you some of the things that I have hidden around. And I was thinking I might actually do a live stream of some of my game prep or dungeon prep, the sorts of things that I sit down and do to sort things out. I know that sounds a bit strange, but maybe that's going to be useful so you guys can actually see what I'm up to sometimes. Like behind the Dungeon Master screen. What is actually going on when I'm not behind the Dungeon Master screen? Because I do a lot of things in the background like most Dungeon Masters do. Man, it's so warm. I feel like the putty is definitely going harder, faster because of the heat. It's very hard to blend in. Doesn't have to be perfect though, because there's paint going over it anyway, so. Okay. Alright, let's deal with the top section here. Oh, it's a good tool. I like it. It's good. Here we go. Getting somewhere. Gotta work faster. Work faster. Move those fingers, Fred. Is anybody working on anything particular themselves? I know when I started doing these types of videos, my reasoning behind it was because miniatures were getting so expensive. But I think now that I've started doing it, whether they're getting expensive or not, I'd still enjoy doing this sort of thing. It's a pretty standard process, including drawing some maps in front of you guys. I did that a little while back. I don't know how long ago, but it was. I think we did the inside of a heart, made that into a sort of like a dungeon, as if they were sort of exploring the inside of a giant creature. And what else was there? There was a we used a catacomb, but it was like a city that was made from a catacomb. So an underground city that was a catacomb for the undead, with undead store owners and stuff like that. I could definitely do something like that again if people wanted me to. Oh. Okay. Man, I'm going to have to... The putty is just hardening up so fast. It's getting very difficult to shape it. Okay, alright. That's that bit done. Let's keep it going. What's that, Joseph? I am working on building a world in my free time while at college. Oh, okay. College is like, is it like university for? College for me, I think college was like from about, what was it, 10 through to 17, and then university was like 18 upward. Is that how it works over there for you in terms of college, or is it a slightly different system? I know it's a little bit different in New Zealand. Oh, okay, alright. Man, near the end of college I don't remember having any spare time. All I did was study. It's the same with university. I mean, I tried to do other things. I think it was only near the end where I started like, okay, I'm just going to get through it and I'm going to pick up some social activities, otherwise I'm just in the library all the time. Really hard to sort of get your time sorted out. There's a lot of requirements, and I had to work like extra hard when I was doing it. Oh, college is basically uni where you are. Okay, university. Alright. So yeah, we got different terminology depending on where you are in the world, eh? Yep. Okay. Man, university was so hard. I don't think I could go back again. I've been to the polytechnics. I actually preferred that. University was... I also felt like I was so out of my depth trying to get a job after. You know, there's so much theory going on, and then application to the real world just wasn't there. Hi XX Bergman, how's it going, man? Now you've used the word hello mate, so that means you're probably from New Zealand, or you're probably from Australia. That would be my guess. Would I be right? Oh boy. So I know we're now... Oh my gosh. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Bergman. That's awesome. And I will definitely keep it up. You can guarantee it. And I apologise to those people who I said I would only be doing this for about an hour, and we're now into at least about an hour and 20. But I can't stop. I've made the putty up. I have to finish the putty that I've got before I walk away. So if this winds up being longer than expected... Ah, Bergman, you are from Aussie. Ah, haha, I knew it. Knew it. Had to be one of those. Okay, let's see if I can get the top lip covered. Oh, my hands are so moist. It's disgusting. Trying to get everything sort of in place with moist hands. Very, very tough. No, Bergman, you are my first super chat. I've never had a super chat before. We should have a party. Hooray! It would be nice though, wouldn't it, if other people did miniature making as well? You wouldn't just have to watch my channel. That'd be awesome too. I don't know if anybody is into terrain or buildings, paper craft, but I'm going to point you in the direction of Johnny, DM Johnny over at Basically D&D. He does live stream paper craft. I sit in and watch his stuff quite often, and you know, I highly recommend checking up on his stuff, particularly if he gives you the link to all of the builds that he does, and it's cool stuff, and he's good at it. And I know that Drow Bard, who does a channel about mostly it's character build stuff, really cool channel. He's still trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I know he gets heaps of views on his videos. He probably gets more views on the majority of his videos than I do, but he does less videos. I mean, that's just the difference. I do a video like every day, so that's a little bit hard to keep up with. He does pre-recorded stuff, and I know he's trying desperately to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you like player build stuff, he's very good at it, and I'll check out his channel sometime. And who's the other? Oh yes, I can't forget Wally DM. If you like puzzles, he does really good puzzle videos. Most of them are pre-recorded. He uses miniatures and props and so forth, and his videos are awesome. And the reason they're so good is because he always tries to find multiple solutions to those videos, which is great. Thank you for the shout out, Bergman. It's alright. I applied for a job, so I might have a job in a hardware place. I'll know either today, tomorrow, or the day after whether I've got the job. And it's just working the shop floor, but you know, that's better than nothing. Work my way up and get a different position later on, I guess. Preferably something that involves teaching. I'd prefer to do something that sort of has a more instructional or supervisory component to it. So I get to use my skills, or the skills that I think I have. That's the intention anyway. Yeah, use the skills that I think I have. Oh, this putty is so, it is so warm here. It won't be as warm as where you are, Burgomaster, but I'll tell you, it is so humid. My brother is going to be going over to Oz shortly. Well, we hope so, once all the nonsense is figured out. And he's going to try to figure out how to work the land there, which is good. We've got some property over there. And I'm hoping this will move things around for him, because he's really struggled to find something to do with himself. Health issues and just difficulty finding work, stuff like that. So I'm really hoping that having a bit of land for him to work with will make all the difference. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure I've sort of covered most of the areas that I've already coated. And there's a big hole by the eye there, so let's fill that. I'm too late. I think I might be too late. I think the putty has turned on me. Oh my gosh, thank you, Joseph. I will keep it up. It's I mixed too much putty. I'm either gonna have. I'm just gonna try to see if I can soften it with my fingers. Thank you for the $2, Joseph. That's awesome. Bergman, that cool man. Hope you get it. Yeah, I'm on RDO for a job I dislike. Laugh out loud. It's been 40 plus degrees. Oh my gosh, the last few days in Queensland. 40 plus degrees. I can't even, if it was like that in New Zealand, plus with the humidity, it would just be, I can't even imagine. You'd just be dripping the whole time. Okay. Alright, well here's my problem. My little lumps are going hard. There's no way I'm going to get them on there now. It's just too warm. Which means that there are some unfinished locations. And I feel like I should mix up some more and do it. But first, because I don't want these to go to waste, I'm going to try to roll them into sort of balls so I can use them as eyeballs or something like that. Because otherwise it's sort of wasted putty, right? And I punch a hole, there's an eyeball, we'll leave that. It's a big eyeball for later on. And we'll try again. Oh, I flattened one out, so I don't know if that was such a good idea, but never mind, it's too late. I can't do anything about it now. So this is the risk of mixing up too much all at once. This stuff usually takes hours to set, but the weather here is so warm, it's gone hard early. It's hardened up real fast. Here we go, another eyeball. And another eyeball, there we go. Bergman, what's that? One day it's humid and the one day it's not here. Had a storm yesterday. Really? Oh my gosh. My father used to live in the Northern Territory of Australia, up by Darwin before he passed away. And it's rough country out that way. It's not you can get all sorts of things going on, and usually a lot of critters too. It's not like there's much out there. It's all pretty wild. I understand that they are sort of building around Darwin now, but he wasn't living near Darwin. He used to. and then he moved a bit further out. I think he was off by Dundee Beach. What's that, Joseph? I will try to make it to the Twitch stream. Hey, look, you know, you can make it to the Twitch stream if you want. I think most people have found that my Twitch stream has been... I think when I was live streaming on YouTube, it was more popular. For those people who think that YouTube is dying, I don't think it is. It is creating a lot of hassles for small channels, but it's definitely not dying. And the other thing is there's plenty of people who are roving around looking for live stream anything on YouTube or Twitch TV. I noticed a lot of channels are putting their stuff out on both platforms at the same time, which I would love to do, but I feel like I would need significant bandwidth. I'm in little old New Zealand, and bandwidth where I am is just doesn't exist. Even the place that I was at, they tell me they have fibre, but it drops from an upload speed of 10 BPS to 2.5 BPS. I think last Friday we were 2.5 BPS, and it was 10. And that's because there's other people using the internet there, but you know, you only have to move like one room away from the main location and everything changes. Okay, so I'm going to do a last mix, try to fill up the gaps that I've left in this miniature, and we'll probably have to come back another day and try to coat the tentacles, which may take more than one session, who knows. It could be a long process. Alright, I'll put that there while I am mixing, squeezing and squishing. And yeah, thank you Bergman and Joseph, thank you for the super chat, that was awesome. So we're going to fill up the little section by the eye, and around the back I missed a section as well. Need a drink of water. That's half a glass gone. Ugh. Okay, alright, let's just push that around a bit. I need to get on and finish that Facebook group. It's just, I've done Facebook groups before and they've always caused me so much traffic problems that I'm trying really hard to make sure I don't repeat any problems that I created in the last one that I created. And I don't really want to sort of have to spend a lot of time, because I know when I first built it, the first one, there was a lot of sort of staying up late, sorting out issues, dealing with people who had reported posts, and with all the Kickstarters, I've got to be careful that people don't just use it as a place to dump their projects, you know. Not that I have an issue with promoting people's stuff, but sometimes it just becomes, okay, there's another place on Facebook I can dump my my post on my new Kickstarter that I want to start up in my business, or so yeah, I've got to be careful about how I set that all up. But it will come. It is not forgotten. It will definitely happen. Okay, and just patching. Just didn't work fast enough with all that putty, which is a shame. Still, hopefully I'll get to use it again on a different project when I make another monster. Right, it's the back end. That's where the big space is. Oh, what's that, Joseph? Do you think they will make a Monster Manual 2? I think that Volo's Guide to Monsters was Monster Manual 2. Truthfully, I don't think they'll do Monster Manuals. I think they have no intentions of repeating the marketing strategy that they used to do. They won't do anything like what Pathfinder or Paizo are doing. That's a glass of water gone. My voice is almost disappearing on me. Okay, let's patch that a little bit more. Pardon me, guys. Just need to clear it. Okay, yeah, got that. Do another little ball, and if I keep doing this, that'll get most of it covered. There we go. Sticking to my thumb. Oh, it's fiddly. Okay, alright, that's on. Let's just blend that in, and then you guys can go and have some sleep or go do something else, watch a different video, go have some food, lunch. Oh man, food. Man, that's what I want right now is food. Hungry as. Oh, my tool is just not working the way I want to. I just can't seem to wipe off enough of the putty that's on there. I wonder how I can. Well, what have I got close by? Do I really want to use my shirt? No, I don't want to use the shirt. It's a bit of paper. Okay, alright, that should work. Should have sorted that out. While we're here, are people liking the monster tactics videos that I've done? I've only done a couple. I've done some workshops, did a couple of monster tactic videos. I've looked at them and they don't seem to get a lot of traffic, so I don't really I haven't focused on doing them quite so much. The thing that I noticed the most is that a lot of people like want stuff on the Lost Mine of Phandelver, and I'm still working my way through the Horde of the Dragon Queen, trying to work my way towards the Rise of Tiamat, and obviously at some point deal with the Curse of Strahd, because that's a pretty it's an awesome adventure. I think it's for those people who think that it's not as good as the original. It is the original with more. So if you wanted to sort of flesh things out, I don't think it's a bad adventure at all. It's just whether you like horror in your game. I think that's the thing to realise, and also to it's absolutely vicious. You know, character death is so common, so you have to figure out a way of dealing with that or approaching it in some way. I find dark gifts were awesome, but I would like to do some videos on that as well, how to run the Curse of Strahd, and I also want to do some videos on how to run Prepared and the Book of Layers, because I want to run some of those adventures myself, because I think they are they are awesome for what they are, what they deliver. They are perfect, just great stuff. Okay, I think that is going to have to do it for today. I don't think there's much more I should try to do. I need to let this set. It is already trying to set right now. Obviously we're going to come back and we'll do the tentacles. Will I come back tomorrow and do the tentacles? I don't want to say yes, but I'm not going to say no. So for those of you who are in the room now, short of a disaster, I will probably run the live stream about the same time, around lunchtime for me, so that's 12 p.m. It'll either be about 12 p.m. or 3 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time tomorrow. My intention is to try to finish this and get it done. I still want to come back and continue doing the series on the sorcerer, but that's more of a player video series. And I noticed with the warlock, I did the warlock series and hardly anybody was interested, so I'm aware that that's not a high demand thing, and I'm trying really hard to sort of push my content at both the Dungeon Master and the players, but I've got a heap of things that I can cut down and edit for the wizard and the warlock now. So I will come back to the sorcerer series. That's absolutely going to happen. And I've also got a review on Player's Handbook that should be coming out in the future. So I'm definitely going to do that. But I want to finish the monster. I feel like it needs to be done. And it's coming along quite nicely. So provided everything goes well, I should be back tomorrow to continue work on the roper. Like I said, about 12 PM through to about 3 PM, around that time, that's when I'll probably go up. What I want to do is I want to cut my trees down. I've got trees, I've got to get the chainsaw out and cut some trees down, and I want to try to do that before I live stream at the beginning of the day when it's not quite as hot. So that is what's going to happen. So if you like this content, please hit the like button, share the content to somebody else if they like making monsters and this is the sort of stuff that they would enjoy. Absolutely share that. If you aren't subscribed and you want to subscribe because you like this sort of thing, because I do this a lot, then subscribe. And on my channel you'll find there's a bell button beside the subscribe button, and if you hit that thing, it'll give you an occasional notifications. It will notify you when I put a new video up. It'll notify you when I go live stream. So that can be really helpful to you if you want to catch me. And as I'm live streaming so often, chances are you will catch me if you have that notified bell button clicked. If you want to support my channel, then Super Chat's awesome, but watching my videos is really going to be helpful too. Watch my videos, it's always going to be great because I get a bit of AdSense revenue. Down in the description, all of the materials and tools that I used for today are down there, and there's affiliate links if you want to buy anything. Basically, I get a small commission and you pay the same price. And yeah, that is pretty much it. And try not to let any ropers do any sort of, is it groping or roping? Roping, yeah. So one of those things. Don't let the roper get the best of you. And until next time, keep rolling those 20s.